Welcome back to Bill Skarsgård month on Jump Scare Reviews. That wasn't planned. It just kind of happened. Also, if you think that I have trouble remembering the names of characters in movies, wait until you see us review a TV show. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is Jump Scare Reviews. We're looking at a bunch of the horror stuff from the previous year. And one of the biggest horror things to happen in the previous year was It, Welcome to Derry, the prequel to the It film. I'm assuming also the book too. I have not read It, the book, because I know of one thing that is in the book and not in the movies, and I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went into this not knowing what to think, because in my mind, I was like, listen, I'm not as negative on prequels as a lot of people. A lot of people are like, I don't care how the thing got to where it is. That ruins the mystique of it. I don't want to see any of that stuff. They're never interesting. Plus, I know how it all works out in the end because we got to where we are here. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm actually kind of cool with prequels, but I wasn't that interested in this one because I was like, yeah, it's kind of just going to be more It. It's going to be more of that. It's going to be what we saw in the 80s with the It film happening now in the early 60s. What are you going to do to make this different? And wow, they did something that made it very different. They did a couple things that made it very different, and I kind of love this. I don't know how I feel about their plans for the second season. If they do get a second season, everything with Warner Brothers is up in the air at the moment. Yeah, I'm very intrigued with where this left off. However, they threw some things in here that on paper feel like they would either A, ruin the mystique of Pennywise, or B, it sounds like dumb fan fiction that should never be made actually canonical. And yet I love both of them. I think that both of those two problematic areas paid off so well in this. How'd you feel about this?
I enjoyed it. It's I don't really know much about it or any of the Stephen King novels or anything. So it's just I'm just curious about what their take on all of it would be, as opposed to what happens in the books and everything. Oh,
okay. You want to see? Okay, so you're intrigued to see a version of Pennywise and It that wasn't based on source material, completely original.
Right.
Okay, I see where you're going with that. I can see that too. And boy, did they do that in here. So yeah, this, ooh man. Okay, so normally on these review shows, we talk about the plot of the film, we give the things that we like, the things that we don't like, then we give it a score, then we go into the spoiler stuff. Because we're doing a TV show here, we're kind of just going to be all over the place.
Yeah, so...
We'll give our vague thoughts on it in the beginning, but we're going into spoiler territory quick on this thing. So this film starts off, and it's the premise of Pennywise. It's the premise of It. It's this town in Derry. Every 27 years, this demonic clown appears, and it preys on the fears of children, and it eats them up, and the entire town is kind of just almost in a daze, just oh, that's sad that happened. Anyway, we're moving on with our life right now. So this, in the film, the last time we saw them was in the 80s. This is the time right before that in... the previous 27 years. Yeah.
Yes.
So it would have been the early 1960s. And this is in the middle of the Cold War, and that plays into this more than you would expect.
Yeah.
This, man, I ain't gonna go into too many right here. Hey, buddy, you want to get up here? Get on up here, buddy. Get on up here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I ain't gonna go into too many details here before we get to the spoiler stuff, but I will just say, the fact that this came out at the exact same time that Stranger Things came back is so odd. Because this has big, hey man, can I copy your homework? Sure, but don't make it too obvious vibes. There is a thing that they have in here that is not an element of the original It film. It is a completely new installment, and it makes me look at this and go, I don't even know how the hell Pennywise, I don't even know how any of this operates after this point, that you have introduced this element into it.
But
this feels like the cat is out of the bag element in here.
But between that and the movement and everything, racial equality fight for racial equality. I feel like, oh, that's how we distinct this from the 80s, what happens in the 80s.
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, okay. God, Peach, you were just covering my head. Yeah, okay, yeah, it definitely, which the weird thing is, the original It miniseries, and I believe the book as well, like I said, have not read the book, but the original It miniseries was set in like 1990 or very late 80s. So the 27 years before that was also around the 60s, around this time, around the exact same time that this was set. But this one feels more like it was in the 1960s than that one did. I think it's because they made an effort to focus on that. Whereas in the previous one, it was just making an effort to be the story of these kids in school. These adults when they were kids. But yeah, it shows a lot of the 60s, the good, the bad, the ugly, like all of it. And they have that, it's so weird. It feels almost like this is a film that is about racial tensions in a small town in America when an innocent black man is accused of murder and how all of that boils up and the tensions arising from that and how that story plays out. And then what if we dropped a demonic clown into the middle of all of it? It's so odd because there came a moment towards the last episode when it looked like Pennywise was just gone and we had one more episode left. And I just looked at that like, is the final episode just going to be all about the guy who got accused of murder and all the stuff that's happening with that and all the like racial tensions and the gangs that are rising up to try and like, the racist sheriff and like his whole posse that he's gotten together? Is it just going to be about that? Because it would feel like a little bit of a letdown that the It finale doesn't have It in it. But at the same time, I'm intrigued with that, and I kind of want to see that play out. I would have been actually maybe okay with that, especially because the final episode is awesome, but I ain't blaming anybody who was like, I'm out. Because I don't know how much of this Stephen King wrote. I don't know if he mapped it all out. I'd imagine he had to have had some influence on the story of this. But Stephen King, his endings are kind of famous for like going nuts. Stephen King himself has even said many times, you don't get paid to write a book, you get paid to finish a book. Because even he acknowledges, I know a lot of my stories do not have good endings. I have to end them. I have due dates. So a lot of his endings will kind of just go nuts. The final episode of this, it's like some Avengers level stuff. Like it is Thor should show up at one point in this finale. It is insane the lengths that it goes to. Like Thanos might as well just arrive with the Infinity Gauntlet in the final episode. Pennywise gets all the stones. That's how this thing ends. It almost does. So yeah, it is, I know people are going to be turned off on that, but I can't lie, I was invested in it.
Yeah.
I was kind of feeling it. It does raise several questions though about like, okay, where do we go? How does this get swept under the rug, how this thing ends? But the other thing that we should talk about, and I've been kind of stepping around this, but this is obvious in the first episode. It's real obvious in the very first episode about this. We mentioned this is in the Cold War. Apparently the government knows about Pennywise. And this season has like multiple plots going on, but one of the plots is the government has come to try and capture Pennywise.
And use it as a weapon.
And use it as a weapon against the Russians. And it's just like, I'm sorry, my brain is melting. So the government knows about the demon clown in this town? Is that okay? How is that going to be like, how are you going to sweep that under the rug so it's not something in the 80s storyline too? That feels like something that would never go away.
But you know what they say, once you leave Derry, like, you forget everything.
Yeah, so it's like, that is the answer to everything right there. That is the catch-all right there. But, so let's get into a couple of the characters in here. This thing opens up with this kid who comes from an obviously abusive home. Like, they don't go into details, but he's been seeing Pennywise, and like there comes moments in which it's like he would clearly rather deal with Pennywise than his own father. So he's trying to get out of Derry, but then Pennywise attacks him and he goes missing. That's how this whole thing starts. And I will just say right now, if you watched the It films and you thought, this is a little bit gross for me, don't watch this.
Yeah.
This thing, it is shocking that this thing just felt like I don't know what the thought mentality behind this was, but it feels like they were just like, well, that's what we could do in an R-rated film. What if we just like really went for it? It's like, you weren't restraining an R-rated film to begin with, man. It's holy cow. Why were you holding back if this is what you want? But yeah, it is gross.
It's like, I feel like the first few episodes like really grossed me out, but like
literally the opening before the first credit sequence of the first episode, there came a moment you were not feeling all that well that day, and there came a moment during the first like 5 minutes of this movie when you turned to me and said, I don't think I can watch this right now. And I was like, understood. We'll wait until you're feeling better, because the opening sequence, like, it's one of the grossest parts of all of this.
Yes. But it also kind of goes into the theme of the series, or like or basically it comes back around at the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Kind of. Yeah, I get that. So this kid goes missing. So then all of his friends, although they're not really friends, like they're talking about how they feel guilty about the fact that like they did not go to his. They only hung out with him because his mom like gave them like money for it and stuff.
Like they're acquaintances, but like they feel bad.
They feel bad. That's like, oh shit, we maybe could have saved him if we were actually closer friends to him. So they tried to start investigating it, and the investigation does not go well. And then they find some new kids who are going to start investigating this whole thing. And so the kids that we are following are Lily Bainbridge. She is one of the more, well, I guess, in all honesty, I'd say that she's. If you had to pick like one person to be the protagonist, probably her. But Will is also like, those are the two who I'm like, they're the most protagonisty. Although, what's her name again? Ronnie? Ronnie is, she's also, man, really there's 5 kids and only 2 of them I'd be like, maybe not protagonisty, but that's because one of them wasn't with them for a while. 2 of them weren't with them for a while. Anyway, I'm getting into too much stuff here. So there's Lily Bainbridge. Her father died in, it's never fully explained.
He worked at like a pickle factory, and like she like left a toy behind, and he went back to get it, and then he like fell into the machine or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And so
she feels guilty because she felt like she's the reason why he died.
But also like the entire town is like making up these rumors about his body being found in pickle jars, and like so they're leaving pickle jars to like torment her. She has a friend whose name is Marge. She's got big glasses, and so she's clearly meant to be like, you know, the not typically popular character, but she's fitting in now. She's starting to move in on the popular crowd.
Yeah, she's trying to be the popular kid.
Yeah, and she's starting to move in with the popular crowd. They're starting to accept her, but she has to turn on Lily if she's going to be a part of that crowd. Then there is this Air Force pilot who, he is one of the major characters in here too. He, in Korea, his plane went down and he got a brain injury, which damaged his amygdala, which is the part of the brain that forms fear. So the government is very interested in him and maybe capturing this thing that can prey on fear. He's got a son named Will, and Will is a nerd. He's a bookworm. And he's constantly got this inferiority complex because his dad is this big war hero, and he's big and tough, so he doesn't feel like he's living up to his family. He doesn't feel like he's part of his dad's legacy. And then Will's mom is she's part of the movement.
Yes.
She's part of the Civil
by the
Rights
way,
movement.
it's a black family, in case you couldn't.
That's true. I didn't point that out. And that is very important in this plot. It is very important in this plot. So his mom was part of the Civil Rights Movement, and that plays into this a whole lot. But they go to this movie theater because that's the last place that this kid was seen. And the daughter of the projectionist, Ronnie, she saw him there that night. She was like, all right, something might be going on. And then Pennywise attacks them there that night and actually ends up killing some of their friends. And so Ronnie's dad, who was the projectionist, they think he might have done, and this town is very racist.
Yeah, and once again, another black guy, so...
Yeah, he's also black, yeah. So they want him to go to jail, and not just go to jail, they're sending him to...
Shawshank?
Did they say Shawshank?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
how'd that not occur to me until now? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow, that didn't hit me until right now. Yeah, there's a lot of Stephen King Easter eggs in here. I'll say that. Some of them are larger than others, and I'll save that for the spoiler part. But yeah, they want to send him off to Shawshank because they're like, you will die in Shawshank. We're death by imprisonment, even if you don't like get the death penalty. This then becomes like a whole struggle. Like, okay, how do they get him out of Shawshank? How do they get him to survive? How do they prove him innocent when the thing they're trying to prove him innocent of is a demon clown?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's Marge, Lily, Ronnie, Will, and the fifth person is, you can tell he's kind of an outsider too because he immediately starts hanging out with Will when no one else will. So clearly he's also like somebody who nobody else is hanging out with. His name is Richie. And this guy, he's kind of got like an overactive imagination. Like he's the fun guy in the crowd. He's the guy who's got the charisma and is like trying to just be friends to everybody. Like there's even a moment in which like he's making stuff up to try and like encourage them to go along with something. And then at the end, like, why did you like lie about all this? And like, it's hard for me to make friends. I was like, oh man, I kind of feel for this kid. Oh, that's kind of sweet. So yeah, those are the main characters that we're all following in here. And this thing, as it goes on, it delves into the backstory of Pennywise. Like you see a little bit of him in the 1930s, and then you see him in 1908, and that's when, like I said, there's certain things in here that reveals about his backstory, and I'm like, those feel almost untouchable because they do give you information. It like takes away some of the mystery of him.
Yeah.
And one of the things is it goes way back to like the 1700s or even before that. And it explains why he's trapped in Derry, why he can't leave Derry. And it reveals there's like an organization out there of Native Americans in this town who have been guarding Derry since they trapped Pennywise here all those years ago. And basically just like, yeah, there's a secret society that guards Pennywise.
Like back then, he wasn't even like considered like Pennywise.
No, he was just a ghost. He was just like some spirit that took on your fears.
Like the Native Americans call it the glue.
Yes. And like there's a moment when you see like the flashback of Pennywise back then attacking them, but of course he wasn't a clown back then, so you're like, you see it as like a giant moose that's like just ramming into them, or you see him turn into like a Christian preacher, but he's got like boils on his face, so like he's covered in diseases and stuff. So I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of dig seeing like what Pennywise's fears was, what the fears were it was creating before the modern day. But when you get to the 1908, you actually see the origin of why he became Pennywise. And that's one of those things that I'm just like, man, it feels like you should leave that alone, leave the mystery there. We don't need that. I'm okay with what they did. Yeah. It works for me.
Like, I felt like they gave enough information, but, like, left enough to be a mystery.
And also, it feels like, you know what, I get it. I get why Pennywise would take on this form. It works. That is an answer that I will accept, and it does not take anything away from the allure of Pennywise in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I was okay with that. But the other thing in here that I was like, man, if you came to me and you pitched this idea, I would say that is dumb fanfic. We're not making it canon. And it is my favorite thing about the entire season. It is stunning to me how much they nailed this. We mentioned that they brought up Shawshank. For anybody who has ever read Stephen King novels, you know they do, for the most part, exist within a shared universe. There are many times in Stephen King novels in which he will very quickly mention a character or a place that was in another book. They never really cross over outside of the Dark Tower books from what I'm aware of. Because that was like the one in which he was like, no, we're actually like, we are admitting that these all existed within the same place. But it has always been like an Easter egg thing, like a thing like there in the background where like you would think about, oh yeah, that's that thing. Okay, so these exist within the same world. That's kind of a neat thing that you're acknowledging that. That's kind of interesting, but that's all it ever was. In here, we already brought up Shawshank. there is a character who pops up in the second episode. He was in the first episode too, but I don't think he said his name. In the second episode, he says his name, and I went, "Oh shoot, it's that guy." Okay, all right, that's okay. All right, you're mentioning this character in here. All right, that's cool. It's what Stephen King does. It's an Easter egg. That character sticks around.
Yeah. And plays a very important role in this.
And it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And then eventually it comes to a point in which you go, oh, that's not an Easter egg. And this is not a prequel to it. This is a crossover. It is, again, it's not like an Easter egg. It's not a sprinkling here and there. It is woven together. Mm-hmm. They are both linked in here. And it's like, this is a crossover. And then there came a moment where there's just a shot in the penultimate, the next to last episode, in which I realized this isn't even a crossover. It's a versus. This is it versus other thing that I'm not going to spoil just yet. But I will say I'm a big fan of that other thing, and I know a lot about the character that's in there. They did an amazing job with him.
Yeah.
They gave this character backstory that had never really been explored before, but it makes sense. Mm-hmm. You see him bring up stuff that he brought up in that Stephen King novel. I think that they did a wonderful job capturing this character, giving him a lot of depth that we did not get before on this character. And the way that works in here, yeah, I bought it and I really dug it. Again, it is very weird to me that this is not a Stephen King prequel. It is a Stephen King versus film, which is such a dumbass idea, but I loved it. I thought it worked so well.
Kind of makes me wonder if they're gonna do another series based off the other Stephen King books or something like that.
I mentioned this to you and I said, okay, you know what? I know they have more planned for this, for set in Derry, and the director of this show even came out and he said, listen, we haven't been approved yet for a second season, but our plan right now is for each season to be another prequel. So the next season will go back to the 1930s, and the season before that will go back to 1908. And I will admit, I'm a little bit nervous about that, especially because they bring up some possible time travel hints here at the end. I'm like, oh, don't do that. Don't, no. I think they nailed something that I feel you could not have nailed in this season. And I feel like if we do another season and they go further with it, it's like, no, listen, you got it once. I think you're tempting fate on this. I would be fine with this being a one and done season, honestly. However, if they did want to continue this, I don't care about Pennywise. I'm done with Pennywise. Keep following that guy from that other thing and have every single season just be him interacting with another world of Stephen King. We were trying to go through them all, and we're not going to name the ones that we went through because then you'd be able to use process of elimination to go oh, so it's this. But yeah, this is not me just fanboying out because it's oh, it's that thing that I like. They actually nailed this. They did a wonderful job actually capturing this. I will say negatives though. I like the kids, but I feel like each of them are very one note. I think Richie's got a little bit going on, and I dug Will's character arc in here. Marge, I actually think is great. Yeah. Marge, I think is great.
She had a great character arc.
Her character arc is amazing. She probably has the best character arc in the entire season.
Which is funny because she is not one of the more important characters.
She's one of the lesser important characters. But I will say, Lily and Ronnie, I feel they are very one note in this. Lily has the exact same look on her face every time she is on screen. And it kind of started to bug me. And I know she's gone through a whole lot. I understand. Both her and Ronnie have gone through a ton of stuff. I understand them being very focused on their thing that they're going through. But yeah, across all these episodes, eventually it reached a point where I was like, man, you guys are kind of just saying the same stuff and acting the same way each one. Because Lily, part of her backstory is after what happened to her father, she got sent to a mental asylum because, this is in the 1960s. And back then, if you were a woman, they would just send you to mental asylums. So I do appreciate that element being put in here. But count how many times she says, I can't, they're going to send me back to that place. I can't do that, they're going to send me back to that place. They all think I'm crazy, they're going to send me back to that place. It's like, okay, maybe it's just because I'm binge watching all these episodes. Maybe you watch them week by week, that wouldn't set in as much, but binge watching is like, oh my God, we understand. And I get that realistically, a character would be thinking about that all the time. I understand that. This isn't reality. It's a TV show. You got to think about what your audience is going to be hit with constantly over the head with many times after one after another. And Ronnie, again, I understand with what's going on with her father, why she would be so aggressive towards the other people there. But man, she is constantly just screaming and yelling at all the other kids who are trying to help her. And again, I understand with what's going on with her father. But again, maybe it's just because I binge watched this, but I was like, I'm getting the same tone from her every single time she's on screen.
And the funny thing is, like, those two characters you don't like, and yet those two characters are the ones...
The most important.
Yes, and they're the ones who, like, are constantly, like, ramming heads with each other.
Yes, exactly, yes. Which maybe that's why I feel like they're the same throughout the entire thing, because a lot of this comes down to Ronnie being mad at Lily not helping her, and Lily saying, I'm sorry, they're going to send me back to this place. And it's just a cycle going over and over again. And I was like, man, eventually I just need somebody to step in and go, guys, enough. Let's actually...
The other kids have tried to do that multiple times. But
that is true. They did. They did try that many times. You are correct. Even the other characters were like, okay, Jesus, guys, come on. And again, I am fully mean. Realistically, that is how people in these situations would react. This isn't reality. It's a TV show. So yeah, that was one of my few problems. I do think Lily and Ronnie are very one note throughout this. Understandably one note, but one note nonetheless. The other three kids, I really enjoyed. The adults, I really thought were pretty good in here too. The Stephen King guest character, was one of my favorite characters in this whole thing. But Hank, who is Will's dad, I like him. Although I will say his entire thing is he doesn't feel fear because he got damage in the amygdala. I didn't really buy that.
Yeah.
Then again, that's kind of like a hard thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how he would portray that. Like, they did a thing early on where essentially the other military guys do a test on him to make sure that he doesn't experience fear. And within that entire first episode, when all that's happening, I think they nailed it. After that, I was like, you kind of feel just like a normal guy. Like it feels like you're also scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, his non-fear didn't really, like, play an important role in finding Pennywise.
I was waiting for the moment when Pennywise and him went head to head, and then Pennywise was like, what? Like, just like, why isn't this working? Like, yeah, it feels like they're setting up that confrontation. That never happens. Yeah, you're right. I had that thought as well. But yeah, I think that Hank's still good. I think that the screen with all the names on it just went black, so I apologize. But the Will's mom and Hank's wife, I think she's very good in here too.
Yeah.
Like, she adds a great element to all this. The Native American woman who is the one who has the information about all this, I think that she's very good in here too. I wish she had actually been here more. But I think that she's pretty good in here as well. Yeah, I really enjoy everybody in here. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. We watched the movie. We know he's great in there. He can be great for multiple episodes in a row. I will say, though, there is one adult in here who I have a problem with. And not in terms of, like, I don't like that person. No, there's a bunch of people in here who I would be like, fuck that person in real life. But there's one person in here who, like, is supposed to add an interesting element to all this. And I was like, I don't think I need this. There is one person who... We're going to get into, we're going to save for the spoilery stuff, but she has a connection to the original Pennywise. I don't feel like they knew what they wanted to do with that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the idea behind her is very interesting.
Like, I felt like the reason why they made that character is so, like, Lily can have someone to talk to who believes her.
Yes. But then they give her okay, now we're actually revealing a little bit about that character. But okay, so yeah, there's a character that Lily confides in which revealed she has some kind of connection to the original Pennywise. And I will say I had a little bit of a problem with that character, because the casting on her, I think the actress is fine, But when you look at the timeline of how old she should be in her 60s. She looks mid-40s. Yeah, like I looked at that, I was like, you are not in your 60s. I am sorry, you are not. You look too good to be in your 60s. So there was a little problem I had with that. But also, she has a connection to another character. And that comes up once and never again. And that drove me nuts that they dropped that, because I was like, dude, considering how much more we know about your character later on here, you should absolutely come back around to that. And it never does. But also, it does get revealed that she has some kind of a connection to Pennywise. And I think that is an interesting idea. I definitely think that's interesting. They tried to go supervillain with it, and I mean that literally. She literally tries to, like, okay, we're getting into a little spoiler here. There's a little spoiler. Tune out now. Then if you want layer 1 of spoilers, tune out now.
How many layers of spoilers do we have?
I don't know, because I'm going full spoilers out of this. I'm looking at the time on the camcorder right now. So yeah, after this, we're going full spoilers. But let's just say, like, we'll do this, then do a score. They try to go like she wants to be the Harley Quinn to his Joker. And I was just like, that is so not the direction to go with this. Like, like, I mean, if you want to go with the, like, she's trying to help out Pennywise, I'm intrigued by that. I actually like that idea. I think you could do something cool. The moment they try and go, like, and she has her own costume as well, like, no, stop, done, do not want this. Yeah, that's when it feels like this doesn't match up. Also, I will say, as long as we're speaking about problems in here, we talked about how the ending just goes nuts. And I do kind of like the ending. But the decision that a character makes to set that ending off is one of the dumbest fucking things I have ever heard. Stephen King, it is clear he does not like the military. Like, he's like, even, okay, I don't know how much Stephen King had to do with the writing of this season, of how much he had to do with the actual story. But if this was not made by Stephen King at all, it was made by people who know Stephen King's brain inside and out. Because you can go down the checklist here. And towards the end of this, the military does a thing in which I'm like, okay, I want to say that's the dumbest thing that could possibly happen, but I've seen what's going on with their current government, and I'm like, you know what? They might actually do that. But it is still one of those moments that when he turns and says, this is what we're actually going to do with Pennywise, I'm just like, what? I am used to dumb decisions from the military and Stephen King properties, and even I'm like, hold the fuck up. Back the bus up here for a second now. Yeah, like, it was one of those decisions that I'm like, okay, even the most dedicated military guy out there would hear this person say we're going to do this and be like, all right, I'm going to have to relieve you of duty right now. You've clearly gone insane. So, anything else you want to say before we get to the spoiler stuff?
Not that I can really think of.
Sorry. A dog was staring at me and looking cute. I'm gonna give this a B+.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a tad too many one-note characters and also dumb decisions with where they go with some of this stuff to make me give it an A. But yeah, it's B+. Like, the stuff I like in here is so good. Like, even if I give the overall thing a B+, there's scenes in this, and there are characters in this I'd give an S to that I really enjoyed. Oh my God, readjust myself. I'm singing into the couch.
Doesn't help that you have a dog on your lap.
Yeah, I know. I've got extra weight on me right now. Okay, so spoiler time in here. This thing begins, and we mentioned the friends that are all investigating what's going on. A lot of those characters don't get introduced until the second episode. Because in the beginning, it's a totally different group of friends who are going to investigate what happened to this missing kid. And there came a moment during it which I kept looking at one of the kids going, I know them from something. What do I know them from? So while the thing was going, I took out IMDb and scrolled down and it was like, where is this kid? I'm not seeing this kid. Why am I not seeing him? Oh, there he is. Why does it say he's only in 2 episodes? And then immediately after I saw that, Pennywise attacked them and just killed all of them. I went, oh, even having that spoiled for me like a second before it happened, I was still shocked at. So that's the first big spoiler to get out of the way. But then they get introduced to Will and Ricky. Those are the other two kids who join up with them. What goes on with oh god, the screen went blank over there, so I forgot.
Like the Lily actually was
Marge.
Yeah, Marge.
Yeah, what happened with Marge? I thought that her whole character arc.
Yeah.
We talked about that, but that was great.
It's like Lily was there with the original cast and she survived.
She survived, and Ronnie was in the projection booth and she survived.
Yeah, but because she was in the projection booth, she did not really get a good idea what was going on.
Yeah, but also somebody was playing a movie there, so it had to be the projectionist. So they go to the projectionist, but they're like, well, he's got a solid alibi. But then somebody spied him on the street. It's because he was having an affair with a married woman, a married white woman. And this town is very racist. So he was just like, if I admit that I was with a married white woman, they'll kill me quicker than sending me to Shawshank. Hey buddy. The reveal that then happens, which I think that is a great setup for like why we can't reveal the truth about this. I think that was a great setup for that. The reveal then is that Lily at this mental asylum that she was sent to, she ended up forming this bond with somebody who, like one of the cleaning staff. Yeah, she was like part of the cleaning staff there. So she was talking to her, and man, this entire time I kept looking at it like, why are we only ever seeing that character only with Lily? And when Lily is interacting with her, nobody else is around. And then there's a moment where she goes to her house to talk to her, and then we see her husband there, but her husband appears like a ghost, like just a ghoul in the background, as like some threat. And I was like, okay, that definitely seems weird too. This is the guest character. For everybody who still listens and doesn't want to know the guest character, there comes a moment in the second episode in which one of the airmen says that his name is Dick Halloran, the guy who was managing the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. And I went, oh, okay, so that's just a little like thing they threw in there. No. The military is aware of Dick Halloran's psychic abilities. They're using him to find the nesting location of Pennywise. He is in here as the thing that is hunting down Pennywise. And there came a moment in which I started looking at this going like, why is she only interacting with that lady when no one else is around? And why did her husband seem so ghostly? Are they going to set up that Lily also has The Shining?
Honestly, I was expecting like at least one of the other kids to have The Shining, but I guess none of them.
Which I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It turns out that the mystery behind her, the lady who she formed that bond with, she was the one having the affair with Ronnie's dad. So she then tries to get him help with getting Ronnie out of the country. And then her relationship with Ronnie's dad never comes up again. And that was a shame to me, because then later on as it goes on, it's revealed Pennywise was a dancing clown at a carnival back in the 1900s. And when they went to Derry, Pennywise spied all the children running up to Pennywise the clown and being all over him. And then Pennywise as a little child goes up to him and just goes, the children really seem drawn to you. Can you help me find my mommy? She's lost out there. And Bill Skarsgård is also playing the human Pennywise. And it's a very interesting performance that he gives, because when you listen to his performance as Pennywise the monster, he's constantly going back and forth between a couple of different voices, just constantly going up and down. And I think that works for that character. What he does as the human Pennywise, he picks one of the tones that he goes through, and that's just his voice throughout the entire thing. He's just on the whole time. And I'll admit, it does sound kind of like a fake voice, I will admit, because the tone that he's doing was never meant to be spoken of in more than like one sentence at a time. But it is very uncanny. It is that feeling of something I recognize, but it's just something is wrong with it, which adds to the creepy vibe of it. And because of that, I think that being Pennywise's origin actually works for this, because he picked a clown so that way children would be drawn to him. That's always kind of been the implication of why he chose a clown. So knowing that was an actual clown, it's like, okay, that makes sense. And also, like, he would have just chosen the name Pennywise himself. Like, it makes sense. It was based on a real clown.
Like, little do you know that, like, several decades later, clowns will be one thing that everyone is terrified of.
Terrified of anyways, yes. Pennywise just had to wait. Pennywise now takes the form of a Labubu, so that way kids will actually come to him. But it was interesting learning about this original Pennywise guy. So that's another reason why I was kind of okay with this. I actually thought they handled this very well. It was one, and also it kind of works the fact that we kind of always knew he probably based this off an actual Pennywise.
Yeah.
We kind of always figured that. So yeah, it kind of fits. The part that does not fit to me, though, is that the actual Pennywise had a daughter. And I do enjoy this bit, is that after he devoured the original Pennywise, he says he still has a little bit of that Pennywise inside him, so he has like his memories in there. And he uses that to manipulate his daughter. I'm totally okay with that. His daughter was going to be his assistant, his partner clown in the show. And so she made up her own outfit for it. And now all these years later, when Pennywise reemerges, she decides to help him out because she thinks that his father's still in there somewhere. So she puts on her Pennywise outfit to go and meet him. I'm just like, this is some Harley Quinn Joker shit, and this is where it gets too much. If she just was like, okay, that's my father, that's an interesting thing to do. I'm actually intrigued to see where they go with that. And she wants to actually help him because she thinks that, okay, she can bring her father back. I'm intrigued to see where that goes as well. She's actually like luring the children in there as well. Okay, I'm actually fine with that. The moment she actually gets the supervillain outfit on, I'm like, no, dumb, stop, too much. I did not like that.
It's like, we only need one creepy clown. We don't need another one.
It also, I keep bringing up Harley Quinn, the Joker. It just has that vibe.
But it's so weird because, like, that's supposed to be, like, a romantic relationship and theirs is a family relationship. So.
Yeah. Well, it's the romantic thing. It depends on which.
Yeah, but yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea on paper. I think they did not handle that quite that well.
Mm-hmm.
But something that I did really like in here, it is Dick Hallorann.
Mm-hmm.
He is not only one of my favorite characters in here just from the portrayal of him, and just like, if you've never read The Shining, I think that you will still go into this thing that Dick Hallorann is a great character. I think they just did so much good stuff with him. But they brought up so many elements of The Shining in here, like puts all the bad things in a box. That is part of how Dick Hallorann handles this. That's why he tells, God, what is his name? I'm forgetting the kid's name in The Shining. Oh my God, that's just suddenly had brain fart. But yeah, God, that's going to bug me. I just have to get past it. He tells Jack Torrance's kid, Dickie. That was it. Wait, no, Dick Hallorann. Fuck, I mixed up names again. Sorry. Anyway, he tells the kid. He tells the kid, that's how you handle all the bad things. You put them in a box. So we get to see like the origin of that. You see who trained him to deal with The Shining, but you also see like his family past and like where his personal trauma comes from, and all of it works. Like you see like he had an abusive father, and that makes like his relationship with Jack Torrance and his son like so much better in The Shining. It adds an extra layer to that. It is wild to me how they could have screwed up so much with this character, and they didn't. Mm-hmm. This actually feels like it should just be canon to Dick Hallorann. I really like what they did with him. But also, when he gets close to Pennywise the first time, and Pennywise gets into his brain and brings back those memories, and he finds the box where he locks everything up and forces it open, and then for the rest of the thing, he's acting the way that the kid is in The Shining, where he just has like the ghost all around him at all times, and he's just like, he's catatonic at times. And seeing the struggle he's going through that, man, I really love that, because again, if you just go with his portrayal in The Shining, he's like a saint. He is like the savior guy who comes in there at the end. Mm-hmm. Doesn't save them in the movie, but in the books, he comes in there and saves them all at the end. And also, he's the one giving the kid all the advice. How am I not remembering the kid's name? This is going to bug me.
I want to say Charlie.
It's not that, no. But yeah, it's something like that. God, why am I forgetting this? Sorry. Wendy, Jack, Dick. Fuck. Sorry.
Danny?
Yes!
Okay, yes.
Fuck me, that was driving me insane.
It's like, what are the typical kid names I could think of?
That was it. God damn. Okay, God. Okay, yes. Woo! All right. So, it makes like his relationship with Danny so much better. We see like he's the one giving Danny all the advice. He's the one saving them and everything. And he is very much like a savior, like the great character there at the end who just does all these things pure and good. Seeing him as a flawed human being who is haunted, like that is a great origin for him to see like where he gets to the end. I just love what they do with that. But then there came that moment in the penultimate episode where the gang arrives because they know that Ronnie's dad is being hidden at the off-site military base, like the rec center for all the black pilots out there. They know that they are hiding him in there. And this gang locks them inside and sets the whole place on fire. And then Pennywise arrives because everybody's afraid and he's attracted to fear. So he arrives in there. And of course, only Dick can see him. And there's this shot of Dick rising up in the fire and turning, looking and seeing Pennywise there. And it's just the two of them on opposite ends. And that's when it's telling me, this is not a crossover. This is a versus movie. This is It versus The Shining, which sounds like the dumbest goddamn thing you can imagine. It works. It works so well. It helps that, like, Pennywise attacks you mentally. The Shining is a mental thing. It fits in there very well. But when we go into the final episode, I love that we just see, like, how messed up Dick is. He is just ruined. He is just destroyed by all this. But he gets some special tea that, like, helps him get visions. And, man, they're getting a moment in the final episode where they're dragging his, like, shaking body into the van. And we just went, this poor dude. My God, nobody has gotten their ass kicked more in this thing than Dick Halloran. That poor guy. But there comes that moment in which it's after the apocalypse has happened. And Pennywise is just spraying chaos across the world. And he's just attacking these kids on this frozen lake and is about to attack Marge. And they just freezes there. And then it like goes into Pennywise's eye. And you see him waking up in the circus. And I got the biggest, like just fist shaking in the air. I'm like, go, Dick! Yes! Dick Halloran, after getting his ass kicked throughout this entire thing, they even set it up. They set it up in which Pennywise is telling his the daughter, oh, I've still got him inside of me. I ate him, so I've still got him inside me. They set up the key and then just... Dick turns that knob and just opens, like, the way they set that up. And Dick just finds that little bit of the human that he ate and that he's been using this human to torment people all the time. Dick now using that against him. And also, there's no better feeling in any story out there than when the villain who is unstoppable and just delights in everyone's miss gets that look on their face of, what? That is the greatest feeling in the entire world. It's the Hulk beating the shit out of Loki moment. It's that moment when that guy that's like, how do we stop this thing that's unstoppable? And then you see this thing that's just had that ego of like, I know no one can stop me. Just telling me like, what's going on? What are you doing? That moment when he got that look on his face, it was the biggest fuck yes moment. Like we said, this is a versus film. This feels like, this is coming from a comic book guy who reads like tons of versus things and crossovers, and like I know the good ones from the bad ones. And the good ones are when the person writing it understands the power set and the personalities of these characters inside out and knows the creative way to mix those. And seeing The Shining being used in the exact way that this sets up the weakness of Pennywise, like, god damn, that is actually perfect confrontation right there. That was awesome. Listen, the dog is panting like crazy. I apologize. Why are you panting so much, buddy? Are you okay? Get in here.
Are you just excited? Are you excited because we're on a couch and talking?
Yeah, I am excited right now, so I think that's rubbing off on her. Yeah, buddy. But yeah, that sequence, like, made me just go nuts.
It's like, I gotta, like, backtrack a bit. Like,
yes, please do. I'm all over the place on this.
Yeah, you mentioned, like, the apocalypse. We didn't really mention how it came to that.
Yeah,
so basically, Pennywise, before Pennywise, the Galoo, like, it came down in a comet, and the comet broke. It
That's
released.
probably the original premise of Pennywise too. So that wasn't invented for this.
No, yeah. So yeah, and like basically the entity inside the comet like will manifest fears of whoever is around it, and like it happens to crash into
where Derry would
be, but before it was Derry, like the Native Americans are there and everything, and basically they find the leftover comet that the thing came in. They broke off a piece and they realized that try to use it as a weapon because they realized that the comet that contained the thing that contained it is its weakness.
Yes, it's kryptonite. It's literally that. Yeah.
But then when they realized the dagger wasn't enough, they took like several pieces of the comet and like basically like circled the forest that it was in with several shards, like kind of make like a fenced-in area.
Exactly.
And basically the military is like, okay.
Now all these years, Derry is in that location. Yeah. And that's the origin of why Pennywise can't leave Derry. It fits. I'm okay with that. Yeah. It's one of those things in which like I know that revealing too much about characters' past makes you go like, oh, is this going to ruin the mystique of it? No, I think that works.
Yeah. Like I said, like that's the story and that's the
we know he's an alien already. That's always been a part of it. So I was like, yeah, why not? Yeah, fuck it, yeah.
But like then like, fast forward like several 100 years
into 1908, we see the little kid who would grow up to be the general leading all of this. And man, again, that just kind of like makes all this seem like so much weirder because you look at this and like, that guy looks like he's in his 60s. All of you other people who were kids at this time look like you're in your mid-40s. Like, I'm not buying it. But yeah.
But yeah, like, he goes into the woods and, like, Rose, that was her name, right?
Yes,
the Native American woman.
Think so.
When she was a little kid, they were friends and everything. She told him, oh, don't go in the woods and everything. And he meets the Galoo, Pennywise before Pennywise, and like that's basically like how he learns about this, like from firsthand experience and everything. And like basically now that he's in the military, he's like, oh, I am going to use that thing as a weapon to fight.
Pick it up and drop it in Russia.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so they want to essentially take the 13 pieces that contain it and slowly move them inwards until it's trapped, until they have it inside of a cage, and then pick it up. But there might be some other ulterior motives in here.
Yeah.
And this is when it gets into the part that I'm like, okay, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard as a plan. It's revealed at the end they don't want to use it as a weapon against Russia. They see all the civil unrest that's going on in America right now. They see like hippies rising up and the civil rights movement. Everybody's arguing with each other. But you know what controls people? Fear. We're going to destroy one of the pillars that is keeping it contained, and we're going to let it out into the world and just keep America afraid all the time so that way nobody causes trouble.
Keep America scared again.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, listen, I get the metaphor.
Yes.
Let's not even lie. There's politicians out there who know the power of fear and controlling people. We understand that. This is so fucking stupid.
Like, that is just, like, way, like...
This is, wow. This is, the exact words I used to you were, this is the moment that this becomes Stephen King. This is the moment in which this is the Stephen King goes nuts part of the Stephen King story. Yeah, it's dumb, but I gotta say, I can't lie. Seeing Pennywise, like, just spread out and just, like, taking over the entire town, just now my power is unrestrained, it is kind of awesome. It is big blockbuster stuff, but I've always said that it feels the most blockbuster out of any Stephen King property. It definitely feels like the most, like, let's all get our popcorn, go there and watch this big thing happen. So it kind of still fits to me. I'm actually still okay with it. And it is like, there's dumb stuff happening, but man, the good stuff in those moments is good. Like seeing all the heroes come together against this, seeing the ticking clock element of like Pennywise getting closer, seeing Pennywise just like go off and like Dick fighting back against him, and seeing like Hank trusting Will, who's always been afraid of everything. Hank, the guy with no fear, having to trust Will, the character who is always afraid, to go out there and save the day. It's like, man, yeah, it's heart's pumping right here. I am excited about this. And right before this, Richie dies in the penultimate episode, and God, that hurts.
Yeah,
that was him and Marge are my two favorite characters in here.
Yeah, like they developed a relationship with each other and everything.
And the fact that they only have a relationship going for like a week, and yet you buy it. Like those two kids sold that. And yeah, it felt so bad when that happened. And at the very end of this, when everything's going nuts, and they're trying to get this thing,
one of the pillars.
Yeah, it's another part of the meteor. They're trying to shove that in.
It's a shard, but they call it a pillar.
Yeah, they're trying to get it into the ground, and they're like, this is the last spot where it can go into the ground. If Pennywise gets past that, then he'll be unstoppable, which is such a like just stereotypical ticking time bomb thing. But it's like, I don't care.
It makes sense in this case.
It works, yes, but they have to get in there. But the stone wants to return to its source in the center of Derry. So the further they get from it, the more it like warps their minds, or like even like magnetically is like resisting.
Yeah.
And so all the friends are holding onto the thing together to try and push it down, but they can't do it. And then Dick Halloran looks over and he sees the original Native American chief who originally sealed Pennywise staying over there. And then there's a light behind her and she steps aside, and then Richie comes running in. It's like Dick can see ghosts. Of course, this is actually happening. And the ghost of Richie runs in and flips off Pennywise. And like, fuck yeah, Richie. Go, Richie. And then Richie's ghost helps push it in. And I was like, God damn it, man.
That was good. That was...
Fuck. I want to complain about so many dumb things in this final episode, but I can't.
Yeah.
It's the good stuff is too good. But there is something I do have to complain about. There's something in here that I'm like, they add a lot to the Pennywise lore. There's one thing they add at the very end that I'm like, I don't know about that. They reveal that Pennywise is essentially, he's like Merlin. He's born at the inn and he lives backwards. And he says he knows about how he dies. And apparently Marge's kid is like one of the kids from the original It. And I'm like, that you did not need to tie that in. And also, if he knows this lady's kid is going to kill him, doesn't it feel like he would have made a beeline for her immediately?
I guess so, but like at the same time, he's like, "Oh, I don't know what time is. I don't know what's forward or backwards, or
That's fair.
What's the future and what's the past."
He says he experiences all of them at the same time. So it's like, okay, I'll give you some on that. But at the very end of this, Marge is saying, like, he mentions that my kid's one of the persons who's going to kill him. But if he experiences time all at the same time, what if he tries to kill one of our ancestors in the past to keep us from being born? I was like, don't do that. That's not a brand new element you need to throw in here. Like, you knew the exact number of weird elements to throw in here. You nailed it. I feel like that's too many. And then at the end of this,
Pennywise does not need to be the Terminator.
Yeah. Oh, it is exactly that. It is exactly that. And then at the end of this, you see 1988. You see 27 years in the future. No, 26 years in the future. They make sure to say that. And I think they make sure to say that because if it's 27 years in the future, then it's just the It movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, how are they going to handle that? How are they going to do a sequel to this when we've already seen the sequel? But we see 26 years in the future, and it's Pennywise's daughter, now an old lady.
And in the asylum.
And we see somebody hung themselves in there, and we see her then looking at somebody who is screaming and crying over the person who hung themselves, and you see that she clearly has a connection with whoever that lady is. And I looked at her and went, I think that's... I forgot her name and the screen went blank. Lizzie? Lindsay?
Was it Lily?
Lily. Yes, I think that's supposed to be Lily 27 years in the future because she does really look like her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be shocked if that was CGI to just age that character up because she still looks like in the face, like just in this spot.
Yeah.
Like it still looks like her. I think that's what they kind of are going to do in the next season, but the directors even said they're going, because Pennywise experiences time all at the same time, next season is going to focus mostly on the 1930s. So I think next season is going to be split between the 1980s and 1930s. And I'm like, this sounds like you're getting too complicated on this one.
It's like, I'm just imagining like third season where like Pennywise goes into the far, far future.
Did you see that? Did you see that thing on like Christmas when somebody I don't know what this is from. I just saw it going around Blue Sky, but it's a clip from something in which Ebenezer Scrooge wakes up, and then all of a sudden his wall breaks open, and he goes, "I'm the ghost of the far future Christmas." I've already seen the ghost of Christmas future. No, I'm Christmas far future. In the year 2305, Skeletron and his skull soldiers. Come on, Scrooge, we have to go and save the future. It's like, oh my god. It feels like you're reaching too much on this one. Like, I feel like the stuff they put in here is the exact right level of weird.
Yeah.
I feel like now you're putting too much in there. It's like, all right, I think you nailed this season. I think you are playing with fire with all these ideas you have for the next season. But like I said, you want next season? At the end of this, Dick Halloran says, like, listen, I'm retiring from all this. I got a friend over in Europe, in London, who runs a hotel. He's going to teach me, and I'm a chef. I'm going to be cooking over there. And I was like, okay, that's the explanation of how he got into the hotel industry.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. But then his final line is, hey, how much trouble can a hotel be? I was like, fuck you. Boo.
Yeah, and like you said, like the next season should not even be about Derry. You think it should be about
Dick?
Yeah.
And he is our guide through the Stephen King universe. Because Stephen King has like said many times, things are linked in, like, his books take place in the same universe. Have him like interact with like a bunch of others. So, like, have him like the one that you threw out to me that feels perfect. Because I was like trying to figure like, what could he run into, like Christine? But like maybe the person who built Christine, like, you could get some more on that. Maybe something, maybe like the Langoliers. The Langoliers are a dumb idea, but I mean, maybe you can maybe make it work. The one you threw out to me that is perfect, Carrie. And the moment you said that, I was like, oh my God, Dick Halloran meets Carrie's mom. He meets Carrie's mom back when she's like, you know, before she had Carrie. She meets Carrie's dad, you know, something like that. If you do this, don't have Dick actually be her dad, because that's mixing too many things in there. Sorry, folks, our battery died and now the microphone is about to die, so we gotta finish this quick. But the one that you said to me was Carrie. And the moment you said that, I was like, that's perfect. Make the Carrie prequel, but it doesn't star Carrie. It stars her mom. And her mom, like, meets up with, like, it's always been implied that, like, Carrie's dad was an asshole, was a monster of some kind. But Carrie has psychic powers, and it's implied she got the psychic powers from her dad. Have Dick meet up with someone else who also has the Shining, and he's like, oh my God, finally, somebody else like me. And like, they become buddy-buddy, but then like the secret is revealed that like he's actually an asshole. And then like then he meets like Carrie's mom from the future and it's like, oh yeah. And like, then you set up like that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, Carrie is the perfect one to set up for like the next chapter of Dick Halloran's adventures. I want to keep seeing that character followed around in stuff in the future. Anything else that you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that we didn't talk about in here, but I mean, it's a show. It's 8 hours. Yeah. But yeah, this was a wonderful, pleasant surprise. At the end, there's some stuff that I'm like, I don't know about where you're going with this.
Yeah, like we said before, there are some scenes that gets pretty graphic and really gross, but like if you can just muscle your way through that.
It's real graphic at times. But yeah, this is a really solid It prequel, and shockingly enough, I think it's actually a better Shining prequel. Like it's weird to me to think that The Shining is now a trilogy, and it's actually a really good trilogy, because there's Welcome to Derry, there's The Shining, and then there's Doctor Sleep, and it's like, how the hell does this actually work as a trilogy? Yeah, so really enjoyed this. So come back next week when we will be talking about, we're going to stick with the 2025 stuff, and we're going with one that we've talked about 2 things in a row that we really liked. It's time to get back to some crap. We're talking about The Woman in the Yard. And I'm going to warn everyone right now, I know this is horror. It deals with a lot of, big subjects out there and really traumatic subjects. I gotta give a trigger warning.
Also, I did not even see this.
You didn't even see this one because I'm flat out telling you you're going to hate this, and no, this one I am actively I am offended on a level by this one. That I'm actively telling people don't watch it. But if you have that feeling of I need to watch this, trigger warning for suicide and self-harm. That is a subject of that film. I don't think it handles it well. So we will get into that.
Okie dokie.
So we will see you then next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.